see the crowd here again, everybody. Thank Ruben Imperial for being here, and thank Tom for his report. Thank you very much for coming and doing that.
Mike's not on.
Oh.
There we go. Okay, very good. Okay, so stuff that's happened Board of Supervisors lately. Catherine wrote some notes here, thank you, and I had some stuff we were going to talk about too. So we've had 3 meetings, I think, 3 meetings so far this month, and we were off a couple of weeks prior to that. So, but not a whole lot of things going on right now in the Board of Supervisors. We had our clerk of the board retired, which is someone who'd been there for, I can't remember how many years. She'd been almost 30 years, I think, with the county in various positions. And she's the one, if you guys ever come to the board meetings, that we sit up on the dais and look out, and she sits there and kind of controls the mics and the people who come and go, and it was just a good support for us over the years. And so that was our big, we had a big going away thing for her that left. Somebody who'd been here a long time, done a great job at the county. At our March 1st meeting, we talked about our OSHA reports. There's a committee that we have, it's called our safety committee at the county, and it gets together, it's made up of people from each one of the different departments, and we track the incidents as far as accidents, people getting hurt on the job at the county, and that of course affects our rates, affects what kind of insurance rate, our workman's comp rate that we pay for the county has to pay, which is basically your tax dollars that go to pay that. And so I don't know how many years ago they formed what they call a safety committee to try to bring those rates down, to bring people together and work on all these things, which those of you who work for various people or have your own are employers yourself, you want to try to keep those rates down. And so the county did a great job. I guess over the last 10 years, our rate our incidents have dropped about 63%, and we're one of the lowest, if not the lowest, I think, in the state right now as far as our incidents. So it's a great thing that the committee is doing good things, which goes back and then educates everybody in the various departments and keeps people from getting hurt and having accidents and then affecting them, which basically is a good thing for us because it saves us a lot of tax dollars. So that was a good thing that we did to save your tax dollars we're working on. We also had, the next meeting we had the following week was our mid-year budget update report. You know, we come out with an initial budget, and then we adjust it as we go throughout the year depending on what's going on. And things are just going really good in the county right now from where they were. When I first started 5 years ago, it was just doom and gloom, and things were a nightmare. I can remember coming to this MAC meeting and my predecessor, Jeff Grover, was here giving his last speech before he left. And it was a depressing speech, talking about the government services. We're going to have to drop. You're going to have to expect less from your government. And he was right. We went through 5 or 6 years there where it was just, all we did was cut. We asked people to take less in pay. We laid people off, everything you have to do to balance your budget. Well, things have come back. Property values have come back. And that's where our revenue comes from. As property values come back, then that's more revenue that comes into the county to pay for all the services that we provide to our 530,000 people that live here. So, and I've talked about this before, we have to thank our employees. We asked our employees to take cuts to help get us through that. That's how the county came back, and we're coming back strong as a result of our employees and all our different unions that were out there that we work with, and them agreeing to we reduced everybody's wages to get us through these things. So our hats are off to our employees, and we have now come back and actually restored those wages, because as our revenues come back, we haven't really necessarily given anybody increases, but we've restored what we took from them. So that's a great thing. We still are down as far as employees. I think we're still about 430 something employees less than we had at the height. So we still have reduced our workforce. We actually reduced our workforce a quarter. At the height, we've cut a quarter of the people that worked for the county at one point. So we've restored a lot of those. We're still down about 432 employees from where we had at the height of the recession, the Great Recession we call it. So good stuff there. Spending a lot of money at the Public Safety Center, building jails. We know that's not the answer. Building jails is not the answer to our problems, but it's one of the things we have to do, because we had prisoners sent from the state down here with AB 109, a bill that was passed. That we've talked about this before here, where they've emptied out the state prisons because they're overcrowded, and they've sent them back to our county jails, and we had no place to put them, so these people ended up on the streets. And because of that, we were able to get a lot of money from the state to help pay for the improvements we've done out at the Public Safety Center, more jail beds that are coming online here. So we've gotten money, the majority of the money for those projects has come from state money, that were grants that we were able to obtain, but then the actual maintenance of those facilities, the paying, the day-to-day operations, the deputies who are out there at the jails, is where we have to come up with the money. So we've been working on our budget very hard to plan for that, to be able to open up those beds and put people in them and have people to operate the facility. So that's something we're working hard on. Anyway, that was part of our whole mid-year budget, was just nothing but good news, is what we're doing in the county. And I have to give credit to my predecessors, the previous supervisors over the years, who were very fiscally responsible and put monies away for rainy days. This county is very strong and healthy and very conservative in its spending, and there was money there to get us through those hard times. And now, as we are in good times, we need to do the same thing that they did. We need to prepare for the next downturn, and it will come. On average, they usually come every 6 years, and we're into our 7th year, probably going into our 8th year of an increase, of a recovery. So we're just waiting for the shoe to fall again and for the next one to come. And so as we get healthier with our budgets, we start putting our monies away again to try to restore those reserves that we drew from that help us get through this hard time. So everything's, geez, we're doing great. We got all this money to spend. No, we've got to start putting it away, because it's going to come that we won't have this money again. And we just have to, just like we all do in our own households, you know, when things are good and you're making money, you don't just spend every dime of it. You need to prepare for those times when things are bad. And that's what we do at the county. That's how we run the county. And so we have a great staff, our great CEO staff, and very good with our budgeting. So that's what we're doing there. Other stuff that I was going to talk to you about here. I think the budget was the main thing. Water. Oh, I want to hit on water just a little bit. You can see how Jake's passionate about them taking the water, and rightfully so. It's very disturbing what's about to happen here, and you can sit there and think, well, this is just going to affect really the farmers and the irrigation and stuff. That's as far away from the truth as you can be. It's going to very seriously affect land values in this county. And as land values in this county go down because we don't have the water that we need for our farming operations, for our industrial operations, as values drop, then that drops our tax revenue. As tax revenue drops, that drops the ability for the county to provide services to the citizens in our county. So don't just think this water thing is something that's a farmer's problem. This is a problem that's going to affect this county dramatically, and it'll affect our revenues. It'll affect the ability for us to serve all of you, because our tax dollars will be diminished as a result of it, and we won't be able to provide the deputies that we need to have out on the streets, which is a lion's share of our budget, and all the other things that we do. So anyway, just wanted to share that. Don't sit here and think, geez, I hope the farmers work that thing out. I mean, it will be devastating to our county if they do this, and to counties up and down this valley, whether it's not only Stanislaus, but Merced, and anyway, tough things that we're having to deal with there, so we're working very hard on that. The county has very much tried to get involved and help partner with MID and the irrigation districts, DID and OID, to work together on these issues and try to solve these things. So we appreciate all the hard work that Jake's doing there, and we're hoping we get good results, but it's not looking really good right now. But we're not going to give up. We're going to continue to push. And you know, what really will make a difference is for you guys to get involved, which I think Jake kind of suggested. It's your voices that are heard by the legislators. Unfortunately, a lot of these decisions are going to be made by people who aren't in elected positions, are in appointed positions, but they get pressure from their electeds. And so you guys need to stand up and get involved in these processes too. When they have these meetings and they come to talk, and people from the State Water Resource Control Board come down here for meetings, we need to fill those rooms with people, and not only with farmers, but with citizens of the community that talk about how devastating this can be. So anyway, just that was probably the point that I wanted to make there about water, and I thank Jake for being here and talking about this. So otherwise, I think that's kind of all. Today's meeting was very quiet. Not much going on today, and we had Tom Chagnon do a presentation about Stanislaus Reeds and the things of the Stanislaus. Tom Chagnon is our superintendent of schools, Stanislaus County Office of Education. Great guy, doing great things, and you know, our whole focus on prevention that we're working on in the county. People sometimes get confused and think it's just about the homelessness and issue, but it's so much more than that. And really, strengthening our families is probably the main drive that we're getting into now. And the things that Stanislaus County Office of Education is doing through their Stanislaus Reach programs is amazing. And the statistics that Tom talked about as far as back in the day, I think it was back in the 60s, there was a chart that he put up back in the 60s that it said 61% of the jobs were unskilled jobs in our county and probably in our state and in our country, were jobs that didn't require much of an education. And now I think that number, unskilled jobs, was down less than, it was in the teens, the amount of jobs that were required, that were unskilled, a person can get. The point being made was that you have to have an education to get a job anymore. And a high school education was what he's stressing. You got to at least have a high school education. And we all know that more than that. And so they're working very hard to try to change that trend. I think 81% of our people that enter high school graduate from high school now. In this county, I think that our county is equal to what the state average is, I think, right now. And so, but it's got to be better than that. And so, and it's got to be beyond high school education. It's got to go into either a tech prep school of some sort or college, and that's where we've got to get our kids. So those are the things we need to focus on if we're going to change this community.